Clover fresh milk is way better. Made with love by Clover.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and every year the Childhood Cancer Foundation of South Africa uses this opportunity to raise much-needed awareness and host fundraising events for children suffering with cancer and life-threatening blood disorders. And joining us now is LYNETTE from the Regional Manager of CHOC in Cape Town. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
So, as far as I know, CHOC was started in 1979 by a group of parents who had children with cancer because they felt like they didn't have any support or information on what was going on with their children. How has it grown from then to what we have now?
Wow, Jeannie, since 1979, CHOC has developed into a national organization with regions across the country. And yes, this year we will be 38 years old.
Wowza. Something that was always a stigma in my childhood growing up was always that cancer was for old people. It was for those who were getting towards their last years of their life that would gain and get cancer. But it's really good to be able to celebrate, well, to be able to understand what's going on with childhood cancer too. So help us understand some of the statistics. I mean, why should we be worrying about childhood cancer so much?
Well, in Western countries, childhood cancer is the second most common cause of death amongst children between the ages of 4 to 14 years of age. The second most common in Western countries. In South Africa, it has unfortunately not yet reached the top 10 causes of death. So it's still very much a rare disease in South Africa. Unfortunately, the survival rate is only at 50% in South Africa.
Whereas in Western countries, it's what? About
it's 70 to 80% in Western countries.
Why is it so low here?
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of awareness that is being raised on childhood cancer and on the early warning signs. So children do reach the treatment centers much too late in the stage of the cancer.
Why are people avoiding it? Why people are not aware of what those early signs are? So what we should be looking out for?
There are warning signs that had been developed by the South African Children's Cancer Study Group. So for instance, we know that so what we utilize as CHOC, we use St. Siluan warning signs. St. Siluan, it's named after a monk, a Russian monk, who prayed for humanity. So the word S means seek for help very early when these symptoms persist. I means eye, so when people see a squint in the eye or a spot in the eye, that parents need to look out for it. The letter L stands for lump. We know that lumps in women, it's a good sign that woman needs to be checked out, but also lumps in the abdomen and pelvis. Parents need to look out if they find lumps anywhere in the child's body as well, yes.
Sure.
The letter U stands for unexplained. So when, for instance, when a child's milestones, a child or a baby that could crawl, could no longer crawl, or maybe, for instance, the child that is able to walk in a well-balanced manner loses his or her balance, or an unexplained fever over a long period of time that persists. Things like headache and vomiting that also persists over a long period of time. And then the letter N, it's neurological. So as I said earlier, for instance, the child loses his or her balance. Constant headaches, loss of balance is also a sign, yes. Sure. So where the milestones of the child,
So then where would an organisation like CHOC then step in? And what are you doing as an organisation now to help?
We work very closely with the academic hospitals across South Africa, specifically the pediatric oncology wards. We have partnerships with all the pediatric oncology wards. So some of our services that we provide consist out of accommodation. We have CHOC houses across the country where children live along with one caregiver. So once the child arrives at the pediatric oncology unit and they live 50 kilometers or more out of that particular province, or they are provided with accommodation or placed by the pediatric oncology ward at a CHOC house for the full duration of the treatment at no cost.
And you're trying to build one in the Western Cape, and we need to raise lots of money to be able to go and do that, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah, in the Western Cape, we have 3 CHOC houses in the Western Cape.
Joburg, more Pretoria side, I think that was trying to build one.
Pretoria region will be need to acquire another CHOC house, a bigger CHOC house. So we're working very hard at raising funds for that initiative.
How do we do that? How do we help you? Because I've obviously bought my ribbon, and that's one way to be able to do that. I can buy them from any CHOC house.
You can buy it from the local CHOC office that's closest to the member of the public's home. Members of the public can also sign up through debit orders, through the My Village, My School Card initiative. Contact us and just see there are various ways to get involved. For September specifically, we have the Be Bold, Go Gold campaign that we are running, and we do have a lot of celebrities that are participating in the campaign through doing heroic events that will then be aired on Espresso. We have celebrities like Kenneth Sivnigezi, Kenneth Nkosi, who are doing heroic events, YoTV presenters that are wearing the ribbon, Espresso presenters that are wearing the ribbon. So the members of the public can really contact us if they want to purchase a ribbon and look at all the other ways to get involved in CHOC and to contribute, yes.
Stunning.
Fantastic. We definitely do love Afternoon Express. Well, Afternoon Express certainly does love CHOC. Now, tell me, you guys have done quite a few events lately. Tell us about some of those.
Yeah, obviously we do, events, it's a main means of raising awareness and raising funds. So nationally this year, obviously it's now our September Be Bold, Go Gold campaign. We also participate very highly in the Cape August cycling tournament. I'm sure some of you might have seen our cows that participate in the 94.7 and taking up the challenge of doing the Cape August and the 94.7. Then also right through the year, specifically the month of February, we celebrate on the 15th of February International Childhood Cancer Day. And there we also, throughout the whole month, raise awareness on childhood cancer because the earlier children get diagnosed, the higher their chances of survival.
Because their immune systems, I'm sure, are very, very low. So,
yes,
LYNETTE, honestly, thank you for sharing all this wisdom, because I think it's something that I didn't get spoken about in my house. I think my parents were unsure. So to learn this information firsthand is great, because I can pass this on to my friends and to my family as we move forward. And it's always good hearing it from from people themselves who have survived and used CHOC services, right? So we've got someone coming up after the break who's going to have that conversation with us.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming to see us.
Yeah, join us after the break.
Clover fresh milk is way better. Made with love by Clover.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, earlier we sat down with LYNETTE from the Childhood Cancer Foundation of South Africa to learn more about the work that they do in raising awareness and funds for children in need.
We're joined now by cancer survivor GHALIEB Williams, who was first diagnosed with cancer 7 years ago when he was just 11 years old. He joins us along with his mother, MARIAM. Welcome to our loft.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for
now,
having us.
firstly, we salute you for being a cancer survivor. You were how old when you were diagnosed?
11 years old.
11 years old.
Yes.
Do you remember that day?
I remember that day. Yes.
Tell us about it.
That day was quite a shocking day for me, and my experience of what I went through, I could say it was quite hard for me, because for you as a child, you were thinking like, I'm not every day at home. I'm at hospital. And for you as a child at hospital, you feel like someone that this is not the place for you, you see. So that was my experience for being...
And when the doctor said to you that you had cancer, did you know what cancer was? Had you ever heard of it before? What did you think he was talking about?
I thought he was just talking about like a flu or something.
Sure.
Because I didn't have the knowledge of what cancer is all about, you see.
And Mariam, did you feel like you were equipped to be able to handle this information yourself? Because as a mother, you're never expecting to have an 11-year-old boy enter into a doctor's room and to come out hearing that they have something like cancer.
Never.
So what was going through your mind?
Okay, as a parent, the first thing that goes through your mind is, what did I do that made the situation like what I'm in now? And then the second question is, what didn't I do? You know? So you as the mother, it's like you have that feeling, I haven't done enough. Or, you know? Raising a child, had something somewhere happened and I was like careless. You see?
It must be so frustrating because, like, even when we were speaking to the lady from CHOC, like, I wanted to ask her, the question is, why? Like, why do children get it? And there isn't an answer, there isn't an explanation. So that must have been tremendously frustrating for you. What happens from the day of diagnosis? What happens after that? Like, how quickly do things move? Is it an operation that a child has to go through? What kind of treatment did you go through?
Well, GHALIEB went through 3 operations. He went to 3 and he was on a 6-month chemo treatment. And the first thing that you're afraid of is relapse. Is the treatment going to work? How long is it going to take? When will you see the difference? You see, when will you hear that good news that stirs you from inside saying, okay, don't worry, everything. From here on, everything is going to be smooth sailing. There's never that.
What was it like for you? So from that day that you were told that you had cancer and you had to go for operations and chemo, what differences were you discovering about your body and what were you feeling?
Well, at that time, I was 11 years old, so I couldn't expect much, you see. And for me, it was like I should just take it a step at a time. Every day is just a different thing. Things that I had to go through. Actually, if you do not eat, you cannot, your immune system gets weaker. So your food you have to consume. Then like when you have your treatment and afterwards you get the sores in your mouth. So that is things that you have to deal with.
I'm sure there were lots of things that you didn't expect that came through with the procedures, as you know. And so perhaps as a way of trying to impart some news to families or to children who are going through something similar, what are your words of encouragement? GHALIEB, let's start with you. Words of encouragement or things that people just don't realize about people who are suffering with cancer.
Okay, my words of encouragement would be, do not stop eating. That's the first thing. And stay positive. Believe that you would make it out of the hospital or out of that ward, you know, because if your mind is not in the right mindset, then things wouldn't go the way you wanted to.
And how it affects the whole family? Mariam, what are your words to families who have got somebody who is going through this?
It's like a disturbance, you know. The house atmosphere changed like instantly.
Sure.
You see, because, you know, all your children is different. He's different to his sister, the other brother, or whatever. So it's different questions, different areas. And can I go, like, when is my chance to go and lay in hospital? Because I need all that attention.
So, yeah, especially when kids are young, they don't understand.
Please explain.
Shame. But now you're cancer-free, and wow, I think it's an amazing fight that you've certainly fought and overcome. So best wishes to you going forward. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Indeed. And what's so valuable about this conversation is that community around you is the most valuable thing. And so if you want to be able to support CHOC by purchasing Clover and Nutrikids products, which provide a foundation of health development for toddlers, you won't only be supporting your own child's development, but those living with cancer too, as proceeds from every purchase will go towards a new home for CHOC. CHOC. Nutrikids is good for mom and way better for kids, so go on and make a difference with purchasing Nutrikids.
Now, today is a meat-free Monday where people are encouraged to avoid eating meat for one day in the week. Now, I know that can be tough for some of us, especially my family. But after the break, Chef Clem is going to show us some really exciting new meat-free products that'll have even die-hard meat eaters stumped.